A chain reaction fired off inside the British royal family that is still tearing through relationships today. Charles became king, obviously. That part everyone saw coming, but something else happened in that same breath, something that barely made the headlines, but carried consequences that are absolutely massive.
She built the trap herself. She spent 20 years engineering her way to the top of the most powerful family in Britain. She managed the press. She whispered in Charles's ear. She planted stories. She pushed the future king out of his own family Christmas. She dismissed the future queen with a wave of her hand in front of world leaders. And then she sold the one home that was truly hers. The garden she once called the best therapy in the world. The private retreat that predated everything. The marriage, the title, the crown. The one place that belonged to her and only her. She sold it. And now, when the day comes that everyone knows is coming, when Charles is gone and William becomes king, Camilla Parker Bowles will have no private property anywhere in the world. She will live wherever William decides she should live. The man who, without a single public word, removed her sister from his payroll the moment he had the legal authority to do it. This is the story of how William built his power quietly, why Camilla's family felt it first, and why the decision Camilla made about that Wiltshire house may be the most consequential mistake of her life. The moment everything changed, September 8th, 2022, Balmoral Castle, Queen Elizabeth II takes her last breath. In the seconds that followed, before the world had even processed the announcement, a chain reaction fired off inside the British royal family that is still tearing through relationships today. Charles became king, everyone saw that coming. But something else happened in that same instant, something that barely made the headlines but carried consequences that are only now becoming fully visible. William, who was 40 years old at the time, became the Duke of Cornwall, not through a ceremony, not through an investiture, automatically by law the moment his father became monarch. And with that title came something, that would reshape the dynamics of the entire royal family. What the duchy actually is. The Duchy of Cornwall is not a ceremonial title. It is a functioning private estate worth approximately $1.2 billion. 35,000 acres spread across 23 counties in England and Wales, almost the entire Isles of Scilly off the Cornish coast, half of Dartmoor, ancient farms, historic castles, tenant properties, holiday cottages, 700 years of accumulated financial investment. The estate was created in 1337 by King Edward III specifically for his son, with one rule that has never changed. It belongs to the monarch's eldest son and heir to the throne. No one else. No exceptions. By 2025, William was earning approximately $30 million a year from this estate alone. He pays tax on it voluntarily, but the law doesn't even require him to. That is the level of financial independence we are talking about. And here is the detail that makes this story personal rather than just financial. The Duchy of Cornwall was the exact same estate that had funded Charles's household for decades. While Charles was Duke of Cornwall, this estate generated his income, funded his lifestyle, his properties, his projects. And during those same years, Charles was conducting the affair with Camilla that his sons watched destroy their mother from the time they were small boys. That estate now belonged to Diana's son, and he had already decided what he was going to do with it. Annabel Elliot and 20 years of access. Inside that estate, collecting a royal paycheck for nearly 2 decades, was a woman named Annabel Elliot, Queen Camilla's younger sister. She had been hired in 2005 to design the interiors of duchy properties across Cornwall, Wales, and the Isles of Scilly. She was genuinely talented. In 2014, she was named the 5th most influential female interior designer in the United Kingdom. She designed 12 holiday cottages on the Isles of Scilly. She worked on properties at Restermel Castle. She transformed the Llywelyn Wormall estate in Wales. She converted a rundown barn at Dumfries House in Ayrshire into a lavish guest house used for weddings and private events. For 20 years, her work was threaded through some of the most beautiful properties in the entire royal collection. But she had not been hired through any competitive process. There was no open tender. There was no evaluation of competing proposals. She got the contract because her sister married the man who owned the estate. That was the entire basis of the arrangement, and it worked perfectly for 20 years until the day William became her boss. What happened next sent a message through Camilla's family that landed like a thunderclap. The routine document that said everything. William did not call a meeting. He did not send a letter. He did not make a single public statement. He waited for the Duchy of Cornwall to publish its routine annual financial accounts, a dry, technical document that almost nobody outside royal financial circles ever reads, a record of income, expenses, and staffing across the estate. This time, something was different. Annabel Elliot's name was gone. 20 years of royal employment ended without a single public word. Royal expert Emmy Griffiths described the situation with careful language, the kind of language people use when they're trying not to say something too directly. She noted that since William had taken over as Duke of Cornwall, he had taken Annabel off the payroll, and that this had caused ripples. A separate royal source was considerably less careful. This source said William's move sent a message that he wanted to cut away what they called the royal hangers-on and reduce the lavish spending his father had built up while managing the estate. Cut away the royal hangers-on, that is the phrase that matters. At the same time as Annabel disappeared from the payroll, William was filling the duchy with people he had chosen himself. Two personal friends, godparents to his children, Prince George and Prince Louis. In went William's people, out went Camilla's family. The financial cost was modest. Annabel had been paid anywhere between $20,000 and $82,000 per year against a $1.2 billion estate. The numbers were almost nothing. But the symbolism was enormous, and everyone inside the royal family felt it. The Christmas he didn't attend, the duchy removal, was only what people could see from the outside. Inside the family, other lines were being drawn. Every year, the royal family gathers at Sandringham for Christmas. It is one of the most important traditions in the monarchy, the kind of occasion where presence and absence are both statements. Camilla decided to invite her son Tom Parker Bowles, her child from her first marriage, to the family Christmas at Sandringham. Reports emerged that William had made his position completely clear. He would not attend the main Christmas lunch if Tom was present. Camilla invited Tom anyway. Tom confirmed to the Telegraph that his mother had personally asked him to come, telling him she hadn't had Christmas with him in a long time. Tom came. William did not attend the main gathering at the big house. He stayed with Catherine and their children at Anmer Hall, their home on the Sandringham estate, and spent Christmas there instead. Camilla had just forced the future King of England out of his own family Christmas at an estate he will one day own. That is not a small family disagreement. That is a power struggle playing out over seating arrangements and turkey. The moment that went around the world. Then in September 2025, something happened publicly that made the tension impossible to ignore any further. During Donald Trump's state visit to Windsor Castle, Catherine fell into easy, natural conversation with Melania Trump. He two women connected warmly. It was the kind of spontaneous, genuine moment that cameras love. And then Camilla stepped in. What happened next lasted only a second. Camilla raised her hand and made a short, firm motion toward Catherine, a signal. Step aside, move, leave. It wasn't verbal, but it was unmistakable. Body language expert Judy James later described it plainly. It looked like Camilla was pulling rank, almost shooing her away. The clip spread everywhere. Millions watched it, slowed it down, replayed it, because what it showed was uncomfortable. The Queen appeared to be publicly dismissing the future Queen in front of world leaders. Behind the scenes, the reaction was immediate. One source said it hit William hard. That wasn't just awkward. That crossed a line because it wasn't a private disagreement anymore. It was a public message sent to the entire world. The conversation Charles is having with his son. By that point, something even more significant was happening behind closed doors. King Charles, still managing his cancer treatment, had started having quiet conversations with William about what would happen after he was gone. One insider described the tone as urgent and personal. The message from Charles to his son, leave Camilla alone, protect her, don't turn against her, don't push her out. A dying king spending what could be his final years trying to secure his wife's future by appealing directly to the one person who has the power to take it away. That single detail tells you more about where this is heading than anything else, because William's answer was not given in words. It was given in a Christmas he did not attend, in the friends he hired to replace the people his father's wife had employed, in the quiet, precise, entirely deniable series of decisions that have been accumulating since the moment the duchy paperwork cleared, the homes she doesn't own. Now we get to the part of this story that Camilla understands at the deepest level, the part that defines not just her current position, but everything that comes after Charles. Right now, Camilla's life looks completely secure. She moves between Buckingham Palace, Clarence House, Sandringham, and Balmoral. She has official royal duties. She holds the title, Her Majesty the Queen. She is patron or president of more than 90 charities. From the outside, her position looks solid, permanent. Here is what most people do not fully understand. Sandringham House and Balmoral Castle are not crown properties managed by the government. They are not state assets protected by institutional arrangements. They are privately owned, the same way a family home is privately owned. Queen Elizabeth II inherited both of them from her father. When Elizabeth died, they passed to Charles. When Charles dies, they pass to William. Balmoral is worth approximately $140 million, Sandringham approximately $65 million, together over $200 million in private property that Camilla currently walks through, sleeps in, and calls home. None of it belongs to her, not in any legal sense, not in any document that exists anywhere. Balmoral and what it means to William. Balmoral carries a weight that goes beyond its financial value. William was 15 years old and staying at Balmoral with his brother Harry in August 1997 when their father came to their rooms before dawn to tell them their mother was dead. Diana had been killed in a car crash in Paris. William and Harry walked those grounds that morning completely destroyed. Two boys trying to survive something no child should ever have to survive. And the detail that sits underneath all of this is this. When Charles received the news from Paris that night, the first person he called was not the Queen, who was also at Balmoral. The first person he called was Camilla. She reassured him Diana would be fine. Then he called back with the news that she was gone. Camilla was the first to know she was there far. Or Charles's grief before his own sons were even awake. Camilla now walks those same grounds as Queen. One day William will own them. What happens when Charles is gone? When Charles dies, the legal transfer is instant and automatic, exactly as it was in 2022 when William became Duke of Cornwall. William becomes king, Catherine becomes queen, and Camilla loses the title, the Queen, entirely. It passes to Catherine. Camilla would most likely become Queen Dowager, the widow of a king, a step back that the entire world will notice. But here is the part that makes her situation genuinely precarious. Her title is not protected by birth. She is royal by marriage only, which means it will be entirely up to William to decide what she is called after Charles is gone. William was there when Charles stripped Diana of her royal highness after their divorce. He watched it happen to his mother. He knows exactly how the mechanism works. Sandringham and Balmoral will belong to William. Whether Camilla can continue living in those homes will depend entirely on what he decides. There is no legal protection that guarantees her access. She will be a guest, if he extends that courtesy. The house she sold. And here is the decision that makes all of this irreversible. Camilla had one piece of property in her life that was completely and only hers. Ray Mill House, a private home in Wiltshire that she had owned before she ever married Charles. She used to talk about it with real warmth. She called the garden there the best therapy in the world. It was her retreat, her private ground, the one place she could close the door and simply be herself, away from the weight of royal life. She sold it. The reasons given were that she wanted to commit fully to her royal life and her role beside Charles. But the consequence of that decision is devastating and irreversible. When Charles dies, Camilla will have no private property anywhere, no fallback, no independent ground, nowhere that is simply hers. She will live wherever William Decy EDs she should live. The man who removed her sister from his payroll without a single public word. The man who spent Christmas at Anmer Hall rather than share a table with her son. The man who watched his mother ask palace staff at 3 a.m. whether she was beautiful enough, only to shake her head when they said yes and whisper, "Don't lie to the princess." That man will decide where Camilla lives, whether she has access to the homes she considers hers, what she is called, how much of what she built survives. She built the trap herself. She walked into it with her eyes open, and by the time the door closed behind her, she had already sold the only key she had. The duchy paperwork cleared. The annual accounts were published. Annabel Elliott's name was gone. No meeting, no statement, no drama, just a routine financial document with a name missing and a message that echoed through every palace in the country. And somewhere in Wiltshire, in a garden she once called the best therapy in the world, a house that used to belong to Camilla Parker Bowles now belongs to someone else. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think William is doing what any future king would do, protecting the institution? Or has this gone beyond strategy into something more personal? Drop your honest take in the comments below. If this video gave you the full picture on a story most people are only seeing half of, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people. And subscribe if you haven't already. We read the documents, follow the money, and go all the way to the end. See you in the next one.